Good morning. 안녕하세요. How are you today? I can see many happy faces in the room and young faces, young enthusiastic faces in the room. May I suggest that those who are standing, we have a lot of spaces here. In the first class seat, please come and sit down if you wish. I'm serious. It's about an hour and a half session. It's going to be very interesting. Please come forward and find a place to sit down rather than standing. If you wish to stand up, that's no problem. Well, good morning again. Thank you very much for coming to the session. I am Gwang-jo Kim. I'm the director of UNESCO office in Bangkok, which is UNESCO's Asia Pacific Regional Bureau for Education. And I am a Korean, like many of you in the room. I spent almost 30 years in the government of Korea before I joined UNESCO office in Bangkok. So I know what it takes, to be an educator in Korea and to be a student in Korea. Today, we have a very, very distinguished speaker. That is why I think so many of you are here in the room. So once again, I would like to invite you to come forward, and we have still spaces to fill in. Can you hear me? Perhaps as a moderator, it may be useful for me to give a brief background to the session, to my knowledge. Well, this year's forum has this special track on specialty schools and institutions that nurture creative talents. And I can see the reason why they put this special track in the forum. As you all know, the youth unemployment is an issue in many societies, including Korea. I delivered a short speech yesterday where I indicated that typically the college graduates, if you look at their unemployment rate, that is 2-3 times higher than average employment rate in any OECD countries, perhaps some other middle-income countries in Asia Pacific. By the way, our office in Bangkok covers 47 member states in Asia and Pacific, including Iran, Central Asia, so-called STAN countries in Central Asia, South and West Asia, like India, Pakistan, and also ASEAN countries, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, etc., and also 2 Koreas, Japan, Mongolia, New Zealand, Australia. So 47 members altogether. And one of the challenges, again, these member states in the region is employment, and that youth unemployment. And why is it so? There are many reasons. One of the obvious reason is economies have been stagnant in all these countries. Although some of these countries are doing better than others, but overall, if you look at economic growth, it's less than 5% per annum. Of course, we have countries like China, India, and very prosperous countries, but nevertheless, economic growth has been slowed down. Even if economic growth like 5 to 7, 8%, not enough jobs have been created because of technology, because of many technologies which enabled producers to reduce manpower. So this is what people refer to as jobless growth. On the other hand, if you look at the makeup of economies in these countries, still many people are working in the agricultural sector. Compared to other so-called advanced countries, still many people are working in agriculture and manufacturing sector. So there is a large room for people to work in so-called service industry. Then the next question is what it takes to make these youngsters to be able to work in this so-called service sector, which includes not just finance, but also tourism, you name it. Some of these professions. And find themselves in these professions and make a good living and being employed in so-called decent job which provide decent wage so that they can lead quality life. I think, to my view, this is what specialized education is all about. But unfortunately, specialized education, particularly technical vocational education, hasn't been so successful or so attractive in this country. Those who graduate from vocational high school, the majority of them still want to continue their study in universities and colleges. And many who complete very good vocational program at the second level, they don't want to be employed right after graduation. Rather, they want to study. And many talented people opt for general academic career rather than vocational career. And this is the reality in Korea. But I see things are changing now. And one indication is that so many people in the room, young people, want to investigate the possibility of putting themselves in this non-traditional, non-stereotype kind of profession, including chef, tourist guide, you name it, in the kind of profession you can find in this service sector. So today, with this backdrop, we have a very special occasion to have a very distinguished speaker who will tell us how has it been possible for him or for his institution to grow over time and to attract many youngsters to the kind of training that he provides, the kind of education that he provides, and what can we learn from this experience. So this is the key questions that I would like to pose in the beginning. So with that, without further ado, I would like to introduce our distinguished speaker, Mr. André Goldong, the Le Cordon Bleu president. And we have two distinguished educators from this country, two principals from the country who will respond to speaker. And I will give you maybe 25 minutes. Let's make it half an hour for you to deliver, to tell us your story, focusing on the kind of question that I'm raising now. And afterwards, I will invite two principals to respond to your speech, and then we will still have another half an hour for us to interact with each other. Is that okay with you? If so, say yes. Thank you. May I now invite Mr. André Goldong for you to deliver speech. Thank you very much.
Mesdames, Messieurs, bonjour. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being so numerous all over the place. I really would like to thank you for being here to have this kind of precious time given to perhaps what can be an exchange. On my side, I really would like to share with you indeed the blossoming success that has been the Cordon Bleu, coming from one school to close now to, well, we're 48 schools, and we will open a few next year. We have been blossoming, and it is true that we have been blossoming on a few patterns which are of interest in the worldwide scheme. True, for instance, integrating vocational with university, with higher ed, being very, very close to industry. How do we do it? Being very close to the ultimate technology, and technology is not only communication, but also modernist or molecular cuisines, all the world of dietetic nutritions being always at the cutting edge, and how do we integrate this in our today's proposal, being part also of the world. So it is cuisines of the world, but it's also the different ways, the different feelings around the world. And it is true that if Dr. Kim allows me, I would love to be able to share with you perhaps some other aspects which should be considered, not only growth, how do you have growth, and how do you have with growth the blossoming of the people and the employment of the people. Through the employment of talented people have better product, better services, better margins, better economy. True, but growth is one thing. We still have, even in Korea, where, for instance, demography is moving in a more shrinking tone than a developing tone, or the ecology, or quite a few things. And I really would like to have a few minutes to address perhaps other aspects that Le Cordon Bleu sees. And for instance, I generally do not do very many addresses. We have academics and the policy makers to do this, but I really would like to share, for instance, I was on the 2nd of April doing the opening speech for the Arabic University Association in Beirut, and of course the perspectives of development in the Middle East would be quite contrasted, but it is also part of a one world. Just a few words on Le Cordon Bleu. Le Cordon Bleu has a wonderful tradition, prestige story. It is true that we're the oldest school in Paris, 1895, and we are still have been developing under the same principles, close to the industry. The teachers were coming from the industry. One thing you were saying, how come we speak about French cuisine, French chefs? French chefs have always been seen as artists, not as just people feeding the others, but the recognition of the crafts part, the talent, again, the artist part of, and it is true of very many vocational side. So it is true that also one thing that maybe could have been underlined in this forum, it's not only growth linked to quite a few other big trends of the society, but also one word which has not been used, I think, still I've been here those last days, what are the values, and they're wonderful values, but also what are the values which will be needed for your own lives. And I see that you're very young, and so you have a wonderful future in front of you, but what will be the values, professional values, personal values, because in fact, if you want to be performing, being constant and consistent in your criteria of choice is very important. So you see, I would be really ready to share quite a few aspects. But coming back to the Cordon Bleu, yes, we had this wonderful history. Again, I was saying it, Paris 1895, London 1933, New York 1942. And yes, we have been training with a kind of excellence, industry relevant, blossoming the careers of the people. Not just a problem of the first job, really blossoming careers. And throughout the years, so this prestigious school has been receiving, I'm just going to speak about Hollywood if we speak about prestige, but we had Audrey Hepburn coming at the school in 1954 for the film Sabrina to launch her film. And 2 years ago, I was very happy to give the honorary diploma to Meryl Streep for Julie and Julia, which was glorifying Julia Child, one of our former students. But prestige is one thing, though it's important. It's about reputation. All of you will have a reputation. It's important to have, to stick with a kind of high standards and morals. but it's even more relevant, well, not more, but it is relevant also to be really at the cutting edge. And if I was taking 3 examples, for the Olympics of 2000, we created a joint venture with the Swiss Hotel Association, the government of Australia, and Le Cordon Bleu. And we've been very, very successful. And this is why just this year we have been signing with Rio de Janeiro, the school preparing for the World Cup and the Olympics. So this is a kind of little sign of we are still in running, I would say, in the forefront. Another example I could give is China. The first Chinese who had the right to go out of continental China to be trained overseas in 1994 came at the Cordon Bleu. And we have a very long relationship with China. I don't always understand the way they look to law. It looks to me pretty much that the real law in China is the Communist Party word, but which makes it not always easy to do something with China. But having said that, we are opening the first joint venture on the vocational side, being private and for-profit, with the Chinese authorities in China. So yes, we have been present in the forefront also in China. The third example I would like to say, underlining our cutting-edge expansion, is the United States. We were not in the United States 15 years ago. The number one was clearly the Culinary Institute of America, Dr. Chung. And today we have 16 schools, 11 students just in the United States, being from far the number one culinary and advanced diploma, restaurant management, hotel management, delivery system in the United States. Just to share that, yes, prestige and tradition, but also really running with what today is. And if I was just taking today, this year, we've been opening, and if you're interested by culinary arts, we have been opening in London, probably the very, very modern school, culinary school, one of the most modern around the world. We're doing walks in induction, for instance. We have been also, alongside Rio de Janeiro and China, we have been expanding in Malaysia, opening in Malaysia. Last month we were opening with the Özyeğin University in Turkey, in Istanbul. And just 10 days ago I was in New Zealand opening our last school. So yes, we are expanding regionally, but we're not only expanding regionally, we're not only expanding, I would say, vocationally with this kind of culinary arts world, master chef fundamentals, and we want to train at Cordon Bleu. Yes, we're classical. We want to give all the fundamental blocks which allows then the students to be really creative. This is our mission. So we have been expanding not only on this master chef culinary arts, but also all the, I would say, the ladder. Sorry for my English. I hope you understand. I'm very, very French. So the ladder being food and beverage management, then restaurant management, hospitality management, and at levels of bachelors, of masters. I was speaking about the modernist cuisine or the molecular cuisine, and we have been creating with the Académie des Sciences. Maybe you've heard about the Académie Française. The King of France 400 years ago also created the Académie des Sciences, and we have created the first food side of the Académie des Sciences, Sciences et Culture Alimentaire, which is on those molecular cuisine and scientific link between the chemistry of food. We have been expanding in dietetic nutrition. There's no way we cannot teach with all nutrition and health in the equation. And of course we have to give to the students an opening on all authentic cuisines around the world. You don't have too many. Happily, Korean is one of them. But you have a vast part of the world. Here in Asia, you think that each country has such a culture that there is a true cuisine. If you go in Latin America, I hope there's not too many here, but I would say you have Mexican, and that's Latin America. You take Mexican cuisine, you take Peruvian cuisine, and this is pretty much it. I love the Argentinian meat, but that's not a whole cuisine. So we are giving to our students this kind of authentic cuisine for him to be able to, as I was saying, to be really creative. So yes, we have today come from a 1 school to 48 school. We're on all continents. We're speaking, we're home in Beirut. And when I'm saying we're home, we're really home. I think we really understand what's going on and what can be a future of the part of the planet. We are really strongly, everywhere we are, we're very part of the community. I would say we're not a kind of, in Harvard they teach you, create your real strong prototype where you have added value, make it happen economically, and then clone it. This is today's model. It's the opposite of the Cordon Bleu. Cordon Bleu, we're really British in Great Britain, French in France, American in America. We try to be Korean in Korea, with very many French chefs though. But we're really to be part of the community, and that's why, for instance, your Minister of Commerce have been asking us to work on kimchi, to be doing a book, which in fact has been printed 80,000 copies. And I just discovered that because it was done with the Ministry of Commerce, it could not be sold, so why not? But a success. And we've been doing this in, for instance, in Peru. We have more than 1,000 students in Peru. We are a university in Peru, so we have all the levels of training. And it is true that if you want to integrate people, the world of hospitality and tourism, and I would love to be able to say a few words on this, is absolutely fantastic, because you can train at all levels. And tourism is probably one of the best economic diffuser of knowledge, of standards, of integration in economy. But again, this maybe I will speak in as an answer of a few questions. So we've been, yes, expanding strongly in, again, I'm saying it again, linking vocational and university. And I hope to have a few questions there. I think that we have been one of the successful vocational people linking both worlds, which are, let's face it, non-compatible. Teachers who are, teachers who are training skills, and teachers which are educators, and how you deal with concepts. I must have done something wrong, I'm sorry about that. But are difficult, it's two worlds. And yes, it is true, Dr. Kim, it's not easy to make it happen. But as we are on both sides, and we are on both sides on a kind of excellence, I'm biased of course, but on excellence on the content and on the delivery, we have been able to really make it happen. Not easy, it takes at least 5 years to really bond people together. And the normal way, which is the traditional way, is you have 1 year, 2 years of vocational, and then the last year or the last 2 years is higher ed on the university type of of education. We don't do it this way in the Cordon Bleu, and maybe again we can be discussing it in the future. So yes, we have been developing all this kind of number one status, but I would like to say that everything I've said is not really important compared to the most important criteria of why Le Cordon Bleu and why Le Cordon Bleu's success today. It is true that we're not only an educational provider and deliverer, but we are also, if I may say so, a brand. And the brand is nothing much if it's not related to the success of the student. You can do everything you want. If you don't deliver good quality students, your brand dwindles down. So the whole focus of Le Cordon Bleu is how can we really train, educate, and I would say education is really half of all our effort to the students. We want to have a successful student. We want to have a better successful student compared to competition. He must be really 3 years, 5 years down the road better than the others. And if it's not the case, then the brand will not continue. And this is really the focus of all what we can give to the students. Premises, of course, let's have premises, let's have equipment, let's have some good teachers. One thing, for instance, Dr. Kim, I would like to underline, teachers are key. I come to Korea, and because of this way Koreans are looking to vocational being here, and the people who can think, the university who are there, then you have problems of visas. Technically speaking, a chef coming to Korea has a difficulty, even if he's a master chef, a 3 Michelin star chef, well, it doesn't fit with the rules and regulations of the visa. So can things be improved? Again, sorry for my English. Can things be improved? Definitely. Let's recognize the status of those masters and let's ease visas. If not, can you have your way through? Yes, you can always. But you have to speak your way through. It's not something which is automatic that you're a recognized master of a worldwide master. Of course, you should be even welcomed. Not easy. But this is just a kind of minor point in what I want to try to say. We can put everything at the service of the student. And the student, it's important that he has success. Also, why the blossoming of Le Cordon Bleu? I think it goes, and I would say it's also a contrast with the trend of Korea. It goes with the incredible evolution of the tourism in the world, in the jobs in the world. Today, tourism is 7 to 8% of the jobs of the planet. You're probably half of it. You're probably below half of it. Also, because your economy has been booming, you're exporting goods at competitive prices, so the tourism is less important than in other countries. But 8% of the jobs are, what is Cordon Bleu training and education? Well, it's nothing else than educating management, focused on one part of the management, which is not managing products, but managing services. How do you add value by teaching a student how to magnify, again, the gross margin, the service, his contribution to services. So, true, on the vocational side, there are some skills, there are some competencies that must be acquired, and on the top you have, the supervision management, and then you have the management. The Cordon Bleu system of education, though, is that we, out of, for instance, a bachelor of 3 years, you will have automatically, worldwide, 2 sessions of 6 months. So we're very, very close to the industry. And this for 2 reasons. A student who will go in internship, and sometimes in some countries paid internships, which help also with the tuition, is a student who will mature much more than even if he stays 5 years without having an internship of 6 months. If a student goes 6 months in the industry, then he understands why what he's learning is relevant. Then he's much more motivated to learn, and he really understands true life. And I believe that this has been, with our link with research, with the link of the cutting-edge evolution technology, of course, and I was speaking about the chemistry and the new technology. This link on the hands-on industry world has been key in our different evolutions. I still would like, if I have time, Dr. Kim, I really would like to say also this morning, I would like to take advantage, being in Korea, having this kind of background of all continents, to just also put, if I may, and it's a little far from vocational training, but it's really the world where you will be tomorrow. Here, as for instance in Europe, we're looking to this kind of pyramid of ages, the aging population, the non-renewal of the generations. But we also have to underline that there is an explosion, a demographic explosion. I really would like to give you, let's say, 7 quick guidelines on what should be also in the equation of our education for the life of tomorrow. Demography is one of them. When I was born, we were speaking about the third world. So there was the Western world, there was the communist world, and there was the third world. And in fact, it was, let's say, 1950, it was 1 billion, 1 billion, and 1 billion. Today, we are 7 billion around the planet. And the rate of development of demography is absolutely stunning. It has taken, I think, 14.5 billion years to come here, but it takes only 12 years to add another billion. So, of course, we can say the shrinking lives of our different developed economies, 1 billion to, I would say, digest, to integrate every 12 years is a fantastic challenge. And where are those people? They're coming from Latin America, which will double, triple, coming from Africa. In fact, people do not really realize what will be the demography of Africa. We know that it will double, let's say 1 billion, 2 billion. But the last census of Egypt, for instance, was 1971, 26 million people. Today, 83 million people. So the demography is an explosion, and the newcomers are, and I'm speaking of the World Bank ratio, 97% are coming from poor countries. 97%. This is your world. I see all youngsters here. We have to understand how the planet is going to evolve. We all are longing, and the second point I would like to make is on not only demography, but if we speak about the planet itself. Today, and we are not too numerous being developed around the planet, everybody is longing to have the same standard of living, let's say, than the Americas. We're already consuming 1 planet and a half. We call the ecological imprint. The ecological imprint is a consumption today of 1 planet and a half. The Chinese have said it will take them 40 years to emulate, to be at the same level than the Americans. But for this, we are consuming at least 3 planets and possibly 5 planets. I don't want to over speak about all this. It's not really what I should be concentrating in, but it is what I see around the planet. Allow me also to speak about the economy, and we're speaking about growth. We're speaking about adding value to talents, to products, to services, and to exports. We all know the incredible imbalances we still have today in our economies. Gordon Brown, in his fantastic, excellent speech, was saying, well, when he was Chancellor of the Minister of Economy and Finance, or Prime Minister, was saying we should perhaps put quotas on the imbalances or the balance of payments. Difficult to orchestrate, but there are imbalances. If I was caricaturing China with a plus 600 billions, trillions, with plus 600, the United States minus 600s. By the way, Europe, with the Germany being over and south, we are 0 equals 0 in balance of payment, which is not always understood around the planet. Very few people are speaking about the 450 of the petrol exporters. We have imbalances that we have to organize. But the thing I wanted to underline, because it's really your lives of tomorrow, the business models that, for instance, allow me just a few seconds there. Since the beginning of times, the economies were developing on economy, a nation, and everybody was trying to live better. Even Ford was saying, I would like to pay my employees better because they will be buying me my Ford T. And after 1950, you've seen for the first time ever the dragons, the tigers saying we're going to have exports of competitive products, and that we're going to export to the rich countries. And today you have the emerging countries being the creditors of the developed countries. You have the poor countries being creditors of the supposedly rich countries, but the rich countries have been shrinking, and they've continued their way of living on indebtedness. And I'm saying this export at low price to be very competitive, and sometimes, contrary to Ford, crushing the average salaries to be able to export better, but to export where? And Gordon Brown was saying it very, very truly. The evolution will be the wealth of each nation, developing the wealth of each nation. The problem is it takes time. So we have new business models that you have, and it will be the challenge of your generation to really develop. And again, it will not be easy. And in parallel, I'm speaking about I would say the true economy. We've seen this, the financiarization of the economies, which before you had the money, the banking system, which was dealing with the saving and the investment. Now it's another ball game where you have an incredible ratio compared to the really financing means and all the developing monetary amounts around the world. All this will have to be managed, and Gordon Brown was saying very justly, we need more cooperation. The problem is, if we really speak the truth, we're speaking about competition. The real competition is the economies, the companies. It is a strong world where everything is balance of power. Cooperation with this kind of arm wrestling balance of power is again not an easy matter. And I'm saying it to you because we can have this kind of smooth talk, soft talk, not smooth talk, soft talk. But if we do not really speak about the demography, the poor countries, the poor people that we will have to really, in fact, educate and to integrate in our economy, what are we doing with the planet? What are we doing with our business models? All our discussions may be just a part of the whole challenges that we're facing. I will not say more on the rebalancing of the planet, because in fact you're from Asia, and Asia will in fact refound the place it had, let's say 300, 400 years ago. And again, it is true that the developed countries, 10% of the populations were doing 40% of the production, or 30% of the production, and 50 or 60% of the consumption. All this will have to change. And we see this rebalancing of the economies, but today we still need the engines of Europe, the engines of the United States, and we still have an adjustment of 10, 15, 20 years, which is not going to be easy. Here again, I'm looking to you because I really think that this is all the challenge of the education today for tomorrow. And we have to deal with not only the emerging countries, the developed countries as Korea, but them just being a privileged part of the whole planet. And my point, maybe a too long point, but is really that we have to really understand the whole pattern. And there is this kind of unbalance on the countries who had the pattern, the business model of being, again, salary put down to be able to be competitive. But do understand also that on, for instance, Europe, or even on the United States, you have people who have been accustomed to consume, and it's even worse, their welfare state, and yes, education is part of probably the best welfare, but the welfare state have been allowing a continuous consumption pattern on indebtedness. This cannot continue. And I'm saying it's not only a problem of consumption, it's a problem of how do you, Mr. Dr. Kim, how are you going to finance the welfare? And without this welfare financing, then you really have a kind of beginning of an unrest that you can see in very many different countries. Here again, we will have to address this kind of despair of people being on welfare, being on unemployment, and all this in a world where it's not only the despair of the rich who won't be rich anymore, who will balance and will have to consume less, so there are ways to streamline the pattern. But let's see also, you look here on television, we also have to deal with poverty, with malnutrition, with pollution, all this kind of different items. We have to deal with a few people's unbalances, inequalities of the rich and poor, and within the different countries. And I'm saying, and I would like to end saying, this must be in the pattern of training, education, because when you despair, well, your demands tend to be radical. And we're seeing this kind of radicalization, social radicalization, problem of identity in a kind of globalizing world where not all have their place, not all are recognized. So this radicalization on the demands can go in very many different ways. Huntington was saying there's going to be a shock of civilization It was a little caricatural, but in fact it raised a whole sorts of questions. And in fact, I would like to say that I don't know if you know what Alliance Française is, but Alliance Française, it's 850 schools around the planet. And it's, in fact, 500,000 students. It's 532,000 students. And Cordon Bleu has been on the board of the Alliance Française for the last 20 years. And what I'm sharing with you is not only the Cordon Bleu life, and really from from bottom to top. I'm president of pretty much all the different schools around the planet, but it's also what I can see as a pattern of the schools, 850 schools around the planet. We can feel the planet, and this is why I'm sharing probably a little too much on this kind of what is the real frame of training and education today. Now, having said that, it is threats. Let's see that if you had said when I was born, we're going to digest and develop 7 billion people, the challenges were so strong that maybe quite a few people would have said, no way. We have challenges, but on the optimist side, we have less wars than in the 80s. Again, the World Bank is saying we have 1/5 of the wars. Peace is more present today than it used to. Another part is the IMF had a pattern to eradicate poverty, and it was from 81 to 2005. And in fact, in just 15 years, 25 years, sorry, 25 years, the planet has been able to shrink poverty from 42% to 20%. So congratulations to what has been done, and again, through education. So there are some challenges. We have been able to do quite a lot, and let's face it also, the year after year, even if this year is probably one of the minimal year, we are having this kind of 3 to 5% evolution. Well, 5%, and you are speaking about 5%, Dr. Kim, is sufficient to grow the wealth of the population. So we will be normally able to still remain optimistic through education and educations of value. And I would even say, coming from the Middle East, for instance, only the education will help peace. Help growth, yes, but I was adding this morning, help growth and peace. And I would even add only the education of the women will really be helping against radical ways of looking, non-respecting the others. Alliance Française, I was saying, is in very many ways, and it really is at the service of human rights. And being French, maybe you will understand liberté, égalité, fraternité. But it is true that our students should not be only trained, only educated in management and the rest. Again, I'm coming back to values. And it's not words. You are in a world... Now, first, each generation rewrites its own story, its own history. And the liberty of choice, the freedom to choose how you want to live, if it does not impact your neighbor, is not a given. You will have to... there are debates on human rights, on the universal rights, or how do you protect the diversity and the true content of respect of a cultural difference. And you have to merge, and you will have to merge in education both sides of universal values and the real respect of multicultural diversity. Liberty of religion is not a given. I'm sorry to say so, but we have to face it. It goes also in hospitality. In hospitality, we have some wonderful values of welcoming the other as he is. It is true that we are in the Cordon Bleu giving those, I would say, those values, those important things. But liberty, even freedom, equality between men and women, same value, is not always understood around the planet. Fraternity, solidarity between all. And it is true that peace will be developed by a stronger worldwide interaction, integration. This is what I strongly believe. Some worlds are more regional, are more under different values. All these must be integrated also in the vocational side. And speaking about tourism, today, if we are moving, every 20 years, we have seen an incredible evolution of tourism, and Korea will benefit of this evolution of tourism. In 1950, it was 25 million. 20 years after, 166 million tourists in the world. In 1990, 457. Today, we're at 980 million. And 2030, it should be 1,800,000,000. Yes, there is room for jobs, there is room for development, and I do believe that educating in this kind of MasterChef, vocational management of restaurant hospitality, health and dietetics is absolutely key. My last conclusion, because I'm not sure I will be able, after all my long speech, that I will be allowed to speak again, I really would like to say, being 65, I really would like to say to all the students here, do not hesitate being ambitious. I think that the big failure of a life is not to have dared enough. Be ambitious. And it is true that the most important thing for you, students, is choose your life. Choose your dream. And there is a wonderful saying, which I don't know where it comes from, but I really believe it's true. Happiness is to have been able to choose a worthwhile dream for a lifetime. And I would add that success is to make this dream come true. So I've been very long, but I wanted to share a few of my thoughts on Cordon Bleu, on where the world is coming, so very strong threats, incredible possibility, and through education, and only through education, have a better growth and a better peaceful world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quang Tro, for your wonderful speech, sharing your experience with Le Cordon Bleu in terms of excelling in its program, in terms of expanding the program to all over the world, and also your thoughts and insights about education, which I fully agree. I was about to stop you several times, but I couldn't do so because I know. But I really appreciate your speech. I'm sure that all the people in the room enjoyed his speech. Let's give him a big applause again. By the way, as someone who is ignorant about your area, I didn't know that Julia Child is a student of Cordon Bleu. It's good to know that also Cordon Bleu is seeking Korean in Korean ways in Korea, adapting to different contexts. I like the kind of approach that you have in Golden Blow. I have many other thoughts with regard to your own presentation or speech, but I would like to invite our discussant. Firstly, may I now invite President Jung Hae-jung, the President of Creative Culinary Institute of Korea, to share your view or your comments.
Okay.
You have maybe 7 minutes.
Oh, really? It's
Okay.
pretty short time,
Okay.
but I'm trying.
Thank you.
This morning, when I came this room, I was so embarrassing because I hoped for the room, but there are so many people inside. So I wonder why I'm here. Why I here listening for the culinary part and tourism part. So why culinary? Because I thought many people, young generation, couldn't get a job now. And why? Because internet and so many mechanical development, they can get a job, honestly. But in the future, what kind of job site will be proper the people? And I thought the people can work with their sense. And culinary part will be that part. So already Mr. Cointreau told us how to getting a reputation, but that is key point to our school. And our school started this September, and our school sponsored by government and Jeollabuk-do and Jeonju City and Jeonju University, and $12 million for 3 years. And we put so many money for making new school. And we should know what is a chef and what's going to be future chef. And they're supposed to be getting a skill. Their skill is supposed to be not only cooking skill, they should have scientific background. And also they should have cultural background, because guests grow their cultural background faster than chefs. So whenever discuss with them about the skills and food and about their knowledge, they should know about the cultural background of the guest. And they should know about design. The future prospect, all the part goes with design. But people doesn't think about the culinary part doesn't have any kind of design. But I think it's not, because people supposed to know about design for the cooking part. They should succeed. And I'm thinking about the technique of fusion. That means they should have different background, because some students of our school now, they have so many different kind of background. Some of they have science, some of they have economy, some of they have art and language, and some of they already work in the real field several years. So they have their own technique already, but they have to add culinary skills. Then they will be special part of the people. And they should know about agricultural background, because the country is getting lack of food. We will. And in the future, they should know about the real product of the earth. They're going to be great food. When I was in a school, I feel sorry I graduated CIA, not Golden Blow, but that chef told us in the future chef, the chef who already success, their background will be in the farm part, because they already know fully grown flavor. So they should know about agricultural background. Our school tried to grow, some fruit and vegetables. And they should know international standard. we easily communicate with foreign people. So they should know what's going to be international standard. But not now, honestly, Korean food still not exactly know what's going to be international standard. I feel so sorry, and we should teach our students. And last part will be physical strength. The chef cooking inside of kitchen, they supposed to be work 10 hours, 12 hours in a day, but if they don't have any physical strength, they cannot endure inside. So they should know this several kind of background. And we don't have enough time. I try to speak fastly. And they should have the philosophy. What kind of food they want to make, but they don't have. Honestly, still, we don't have any school got directions. So we should know philosophy. And we should know what kind of people or chef we are going to be. Sometimes we get lost. So we should teach them, I want to be this kind of chef. And we should give them several methods. Our school tried to do some social agreement procedure. So we open master chef class in a month, monthly. Because the people in our province, they should know our school is this kind of school. So we open public food show. So we bring some master chefs other place. We open to the public. And we should make Korean cuisine standard. So still we cannot make sure what size, what cooking method, what technique. We don't know about it. So we should know the Korean cuisine standard. And we try to select students who proper our school because we have so many people wants to come, but we suppose we get the right people to our school. And I want to tell about our students. One girl, she graduated scientific high school and KAIST bachelor, KAIST master, and she is working in Samsung for several years. And she got a great money, but she wants to be a chef because she wants to be a creative job. That is real situation. And another student, he graduated Yonsei University, and his major is philosophy, but he wants to do something for other countries' people. So he choose cooking. That is the situation of our student. And there are so many different backgrounds. Even we try to explain our school, and one parent sit over there, and they are crying. And his son, after just finish his military service, he wants to come out of school, and he was quit his school in Seoul. So their parents try to cry, but that is a real situation. And we want to teach them the basic. What is the basic? Cooking, culinary basic, they supposed to know. So we should teach them. And the kitchen side is special space. They have their group working. But people doesn't know about the organization. If they organize well, small people can work a lot of job. But if they don't, matching each other, they cannot work together. So that is kitchen. So people doesn't know about what is kitchen side culture. So we should understand kitchen side job go together. So, and also we should teach them language barrier. When I was in the United States, I thought many Korean people got a great skill, but we cannot get a job outside. The only reason is language barrier. So we teach them language, and they go anywhere in the world. So Korean cuisine globalization will be solved, go through the language barriers. And they should have research background. They should know ingredients and cooking skill and even chemistry. Now, in the Western side, they co-work together. Chemistry and chefs work together. You know, as you know, the great restaurant like in Spain, Italy, they work together. In England, they work together. So co-work with the scientist will be the solution. And the last part will be human relationship. They know each other. They care each other. They work together. That will be kitchen. So we should give them a prospective part of our education. It's going to be success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chung. Wow, it would be very difficult to become a master chef, to be able to know all these other disciplines. But I do agree that for anybody to excel in any profession, one needs to understand, needs to go beyond his own or her own area. And thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. And our second discussed Principal Jo Geum-seok, you will have another 7 minutes. I will appreciate if you can confine your presentation in 7 minutes so that we will have time to interact between speaker and the floor. Thank you.
우리 서울관광고등학교의 인사 구호가 안녕하십니까가 아니고 사랑합니다 이렇게 구호로 되어 있습니다. 그래서 우리 전 교직원과 학생들은 아침에 만나면은 어느 때고 안녕하십니까가 아니고 사랑합니다 이렇게 인사를 하게 됩니다. 그러면 많은 사람들이 서로 더 친근하고 또 정겨운 이런 인사가 아닌가, 또 그런 칭찬을 많이 받고 우리 학교는 바로 그러한 인사에 의해서 더욱더 학교가 아주 밝고 명랑하고 아주 친절한 그러한 서광, 즉 다시 말하면 서울관광고등학교의 학생상이 되겠습니다. 먼저 글로벌 인재 포럼 2012의 토론자로 초대해 주신 대장님들께 감사를 드리며 또 영광으로 생각을 합니다. 1895년에 설립된 110년의 역사를 가진 세계 인류 셰프 호텔리어의 산실 르꼬르동 블루의 앙드레 구엥트로 회장님의 주제 발표를 듣게 되어서 더욱 기쁘고 뜻깊게 생각합니다. 이미 말씀하시고 아시는 바와 같이 르꼬르동 블루는 조리와 관광 분야에서 세계적 명성을 자랑하고 있는 학교입니다. 우수한 조리 시설과 소수 정원제 수업, 전문 강사진, 또 산업 현장 실습 등으로 미래 고용 기회를 창출하는 르꼬르동 블루만의 교육 방법에 더욱 찬사를 보냅니다. 이런 세계 인류의 학교의 시작은 르꼬르동 블루를 책임 경영하시는 앙드레 구엥트로 회장님의 리더십이 아닌가 생각합니다. 지금부터는 부족하나마 8년 동안의 관광 특성화 교육 경험을 바탕으로 본교의 교육 과정과 학과 소개, 또 특색 사업 등을 소개해드리고 마지막으로 관광고등학교를 경영해 오면서 개선에 필요한 과제와 이에 따른 제언을 드리는 것으로 시작을 하겠습니다. 10분 정도의 짧은 시간이 되겠습니다. 그래서 제가 얼마만큼 저희 학교를 소개해드리면서 우리 전체 이해를 도모해야 될지 걱정이 됩니다만은 시간 안에 빨리 소개를 해드리겠습니다. 먼저 화면을 보시면서 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 관광특성화고등학교는 관광 분야의 소질과 적성이 비슷한 학생들을 양성하는 학교, 다시 말하면 관광 인재를 양성하는 학교라고 이렇게 말씀을 드릴 수가 있습니다. 서울에는 4개의 관광고등학교가 있고 또 8개의 관광 관련 학과를 가진 특성화 고등학교가 있습니다. 그리고 전국으로 보면은 전국에 한 15개의 관광고등학교가 있고 56개 교의 그 관광 관련 그 학과를 개설하고 있습니다. 저희 학교를 좀 소개를 해드리겠습니다. 우리 서울관광고등학교는 1978년 관악여자상업고등학교로 개교를 했습니다. 2004년도에 서울시 교육청으로부터 관광 특성화 고등학교로 선정이 됐습니다. 바로 이듬해에 2005년도에 서울관광고등학교로 교명이 변경되면서 첫 입학생을 받게 됐습니다. 우리 서울관광고등학교의 그 학과를 소개해 드리겠습니다. 우리 학교는 4개의 학과가 있습니다. 먼저 관광경영과, 또 관광이벤트과, 관광조리코디과, 관광홍보미디어과, 이 4개 학교로, 그러니까 학과로 구성되어 있고, 각 그 4개 학과에서 필요한 그 관광 전문인을 양성하고 있습니다. 다음은 특색 프로그램을 말씀드리겠습니다. 먼저 구체적으로 그 목표를 제시하고 칭찬하는 명예장제를 운영하고 있습니다. 이 명예장제는 우리 학교의 교육 목표가 되겠습니다. 많은 학교들이 우리 학교의 이 명예장제를 그 벤치마킹하러 많이 방문을 하고, 또 저희도 또 K 서로 공유하는 마음으로 이 명예장제를 운영을 하고 있습니다. 먼저 이 명예장제는 4개의 장으로 구성되어 있습니다. 그 배려와 섬김을 실천하는 그러니까 인성장으로 구성되어 있고요. 그 다음에 건강과 실력을 추구하는 학력장, 또 재능과 자격을 취득하는 기능장, 또 회화와 독해력을 육성하는 외국어장, 이렇게 4개의 장으로 있는데, 바로 이 장은 구체적이고 실천 가능한 그러한 명예장제가 되겠습니다. 그래서 많은 학교들이 그냥 구호로만 그치는 이 명예장제가 아니로 어떻게 하면 학생들이 실천에 옮길 수 있는 이런 교육인가, 이런 것들을 그 많은 학교에서 우리 학교에 그 탐문을 하고, 또 우리 학교 인터넷으로 들어오시고 홈페이지를 통해서 또 이런 그 공유를 할 수 있는 이런 아주 자랑스러운, 저희 학교에서 아주 정말 내놓을 수 있는 이런 프로그램이 아닌가 생각이 듭니다. 그래서 이 4개의 장, 그 명예장제를 운영하면서 각가지 그 학생들의 그 인성교육이라든지 또 실력 향상, 또 외국어장, 기능장, 이러한 것들을 종합적으로 운영을 하면서 마지막에는 우리 학생들이 대학을 간다든지 특히 취업을 하는 데에 굉장히 도움이 많이 되는 그런 프로그램으로 되어 있습니다. 그래서 각 기업체라든지 이런 그 대학에서도 굉장히 우수한 그런 그 제도다, 이런 제도를 통해서 바로 서울관광고등학교는 운영이 되고 있다, 이렇게 말씀을 드리면서 특히 이러한 제도를 통해서 많은 중학생들이 우리 학교에 오고 싶은 학교, 이렇게 학생들이 선호하고 있습니다. 그래서 조금 자랑을 더 말씀드린다면, 저희 서울관광고등학교는 중학교 학생들 성적이 상위 30% 이내에 드는 학생들이 우리 학교에 오는 학교로 되어 있습니다. 참 자랑스럽지 않습니까? 다음으로는 그 산하협력을 통해서 맞춤식 교육과정을 운영하고 있는데요. 바로 산학 간 MOU 협정 체결입니다. 이런 그 우수한 학생들을 교육을 하려면은 우리 자체의 선생님들만의 한계가 있다 생각이 됩니다. 실질적인 우리 학생들이 그 현장 중심의 그런 교육을 필요로 하는데, 그렇게 되려면은 우리 선생님들 갖고는 한계가 있고, 많은 그 기업체의 우수한 그런 그 강사진들을 모시고 또 현장 방문을 통해서 그러한 그 사안 교육을 우리 학교는 실시하고 있다, 이렇게 말씀을 드릴 수가 있습니다. 그래서 크게 보면은 임페리얼 팰리스 호텔 외에 많은 그 학교, 이런 그 대학, 또 혹은 이런 그 기업체, 특히 그 호텔에 많은 호텔들을 우리가 MOU 협정을 체결을 함으로써 우리 학생들이 골고루 자기가 선호하는 그러한 그 호텔에 가서 방문도 하고 또 현장 교육을 통해서 많은 그 전문 교육을 마인드 형성을 하는 데 큰 도움이 되겠습니다. 또 호스코라든지 휴년 이러한 그 기업체에서는 그 해외 취업을 도모하고 있습니다. 또 YBM, 시아닷컴 이 회사에서는 우리 학교 방과 후 교육을 담당하고 있는 그런 기업체가 되겠습니다. 또 하나투어, 또 여행사도 저희가 MOU 협정을 통해서 항공 시스템이라든지 또 토파스, 또 아바쿠스 이런 교육들을 전부 다 우리 교육, 그러니까 실습실을 통해서 또 여행사에 있는 그러한 그 현장에 계시는 분들을 전문가를 모시고 저희가 특강 이런 것들을 통해서 우리 학생들의 교육의 질을 높이고 있다는 말씀 드리겠습니다. 바로 이 장면은 호주의 캔버라 대학하고 그 자매 결연 맺는 장면이 되겠습니다. 이 장면도 그 아웃백 그 하우스하고 자매 결연 협정식입니다. 이 장면은 그 임페리얼 팰리스 호텔하고 MOU 협정입니다. 다음은 이런 그 MOU 협정을 통해서 우리가 어떠한 그 학생들에게 실질적인 교육을 지향하는가, 바로 산학협력의 그 내용들이 되겠습니다. 먼저 그 산업체 전문가 초청 특강이 있고 또 산학겸임 강사 지원을 받는다든지 또 우리 학교의 그 각종 경진대회를 실천할 때에 심사위원으로 모시고 직접 학교에 어떻게 운영되고 있는지 이러한 것들을 직접 보시면서 우리 학교에 자문을 해주는 이런 역할을 하게 되겠습니다. 또 현장 견학 및 체험학습 지원을 받고요. 또 맞춤식 교육과정 운영을 통해서 우리 학생들에게 아주 통합적인 그런 교육을 지원을 받고 있습니다. 또 마지막에는 취업까지도 연결되는 이러한 그 산학협력 교류 이런 것들을 활발히 우리 학교는 전개하고 있다는 점 말씀드리겠습니다. 바로 이 장면은 이제 그 특강입니다. 셰러턴 워커힐 호텔의 그 특별 강의가 되겠습니다. 이것도 산학 겸임 강사 협력 체결에 의해서 저희 학교에 초빙을 해서 교육을 시키는 장면이 되겠습니다. 바로 이 장면은 우리가 아까 그 산학협력 맞춤식 교육 과정을 통해서 통합적으로 모든 그 안내라든지 프론데스크라든지 아니면 조리라든지 또 이미지 메이킹 이런 종합적인 교육을 맞춤식 교육을 통해 가지고 마지막에 평가하는 장면입니다. 이 평가하는 장면에서는 그 심사위원이 있는데 이 심사위원도 그 기업체의 우수 기업체의 전문가들로 초빙을 해가지고 평가를 그대로 받습니다. 그래서 이 평가를 통해서 거기서 현장에서 우수한 학생들을 직접 취업으로 채용하는 이런 결과도 나오게 되겠습니다. 특히 이런 프로그램을 굉장히 그 전문가들을 통해서 참 우수한 그러한 그 교육 제도다. 이러한 교육을 통해서 바로 서울관광고등학교가 그 많은 그 전문 그 관광 전문인 초기에 그 관광 전문인을 양성하는 아주 좋은 프로그램이다. 이런 그 얘기들을 많은 그 기업체라든지 또 대학 교수님이라든지 또 이 단체 기관에서 칭찬을 하는 프로그램이 되겠습니다. 이것도 그 조리의 평가회를 갖고 지금 심사를 받고 있는 장면입니다. 바로 이러한 것을 통해서 취업이 되게 되면 우리 학교에서는 바로 추수 지도로 들어갑니다. 각 취업부장 같이 저하고 직접 교장인 저하고 같이 현장에 가서 우리 학생들이 어떻게 근무를 하는지 또 뭐 문제점은 없는지 또 학생들의 현장에 투입이 되면서 또 어떠한 그 애로사항이 있는지 이런 것들을 직접 그 전문가들하고 그 기업체에 있는 그 현장에 있는 분들하고 직접 대화를 통해서 저희가 또 다시 그 피드백을 시켜서 교육에 적용시키는 이런 그 추수 제도를 철저히 하고 있다는 말씀을 또 드리겠습니다. 이 장면도 마찬가지입니다. 바로 이 장면은 그 싱가포르 해외 취업을 저희가 하고 있습니다. 우리 학생들이. 그래서 해외 취업에도 추수지도를 가서 직접 외국에 나가 있는 우리 학생들은 어떻게 근무를 하고 있고 또 애로사항은 뭐고 또 현장에서 어떻게 적응하고 잘 정말 근무를 하고 있는지 이렇게 좀 점검하는 아주 마지막까지도 추수지도까지 하는 우리 학교의 모습입니다. 지금 싱가포르에 우리 학생들이
교장 선생님 좀 정리 부탁드립니다. 예.
예. 자, 다음에는 그 외국어 교육을 강화시키는 장면이 되겠습니다. 회화 중심, 또 자격증 중심, 또 교육 과정의 그 이수 시간 확대라든지 회화 중심으로 우리 학교의 교육 프로그램을 운영하고 있다는 점 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 이 장면들은 전부 다 그 우리 학교 학생들이 해외 연수, 우리와 그 MOU 협정돼 있는 이런 학교들을 가서 해외 연수를 받고 있는 장면이 되겠습니다. 다음의 특색 프로그램으로는 친절한 서강인 육성, 그래서 관광고등학교인 만큼 예절교육원을 운영을 하고 또 친절한 서강인 선발대회를 열고 또 국제매너 교육과 운영, 이러한 것들을 통해서 서울관광고등학교의 이미지를 제고하고 또 이러한 교육을 통해서 취업으로 연결하는 우수한 프로그램이다, 이렇게 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 이런 프로그램들은 전부 다 지금 교육을 받고 있는 장면이 되겠습니다. 지금 이런 장면들은 전부 다 지역과의 또 연계해서 많은 그 배려와 섬김의 그러한 그 모습들이 되겠습니다. 마지막으로 과제와 재원을 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 크게 세 가지로 말씀을 드릴 수가 있는데 교사 수급 자격제도, 외국어 능력, 이렇게 말씀을 드리겠는데요. 교사 수급 문제에 있어서는 실습형 통합 교과로 운영됐으면 좋겠다. 지금 올해부터 특히 교육청에서 교과부에서 그 이수 단위를 축소를 하게 돼 있습니다. 그래서 2학기부터는 취업을 나가야 되는데 2학기에 우리 학생들이 많은 그 실수가 적기 때문에 교육이 어렵습니다. 그래서 통합형 교과로 운영된다면 국영수 그 교사와 또 전문 그 교사가 통합형으로 이제 교육을 시킨다면은 그만큼 시간 절약도 되고 또 시수 단위, 이수 단위도 절약할 수 있는 그러한 제도로 나간다면은 큰 도움이 되지 않을까, 이렇게 생각을 해보고요. 또 자격 제도도 등급 구간이 좀 세분화됐으면 좋겠다. 다시 말하면 조리사라든지 또 아니면은 뭐 바리스타, 또 아니면 조주사, 또 아니면 호텔 서비스사, 이런 것들이 단순형, 완료형으로 그 자격 제도가 돼 있는데 이렇게 되면은 한번 떨어지면 그 다음에 다시 또 준비해서 또 해야 되는 어떤 성취감의 좌절을 맛볼 수 있는 이런 제도가 지금 현재 구성이 되어 있는데 이것을 좀 세분화시킨다면 학생들이 1급, 2급, 3급, 4급, 5급이라든지 A, B, C, D로 나간다든지 이렇게 해서 하나 취득을 하게 되면 또 성취감을 맛보고 그 다음 단계별로 해야만이 학생들이 계속적인 그 학습의 의욕을 높이고 또 어떤 그 성취감을 맛볼 수 있는 이런 제도로 좀 전환됐으면 좋겠다, 이런 그 좀 말씀을 드리고 싶고요. 또 마지막에 그 외국어 능력, 지금까지는 그 특성화 고등학교에 그 원어민 강사를 이렇게 배출을 시켜서 저희가 많은 그 도움을 받았거든요. 그런데 이게 지금 다시 취소가 됐습니다. 작년부터, 올해부터죠. 그래서 이런 원어민, 특히 관광고등학교 같은 경우에는 원어민 강사를 좀 많이 이렇게 보내주셔서 좀 직접 학생들이 그 회화 중심으로 교육을 시킬 수 있도록 그런 제도를 좀 부여해 주신다면 굉장히 좋겠고요. 또 자격증 제도도 마찬가지고 또 국제 교류도 활발히 좀 이렇게 해주신다면 이런 것들이 전부 다 우리 단위 학교에서 할 수 있는 게 한계가 있습니다. 그래서 제도적으로 또 어떤 그런 단체나 이런 데서 이러한 그 세 가지를 중심으로 좀 이렇게 변형시켜주고 또 좀 바꿔주신다면 또 이런 것들을 해결해 주신다면 우리 그러니까 관광고등학교들이 더 많은 좀 좋은 인재들을 육성을 해서 사회에 내보내고 또 관광 마인드 형성에도 굉장히 좋은 그러한 제도로 변환시킬 수 있다, 이렇게 말씀을 끝으로 드리면서 참 이상 저의 그 발표를 마지막으로 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 고맙습니다.
Thank you, Principal Joe, for your wonderful introduction to Seoul Tourism High School and your proposal for the future. But sorry to push you to finish rather quickly. Well, it has been very, very rich presentation and speech. I haven't been quite successful in terms of managing time, which is the key role that I need to play as a moderator. But nevertheless, if you all agree, we'll spend another 5 minutes or so to have one or two burning questions from the floor. Okay, please introduce yourself to us, who you are, and briefly ask questions or make comments. Thank you.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 대학생이자 대학교를 졸업한 학생이고요. 질문이 있는데요. 대표님의 요리 학교는 정말 세계적으로도 유명을 하고 명성이 있고 그리고 많은 후진들을 양성하고 있는 걸로 알고 있는데 그러면 그 포커스 앞으로 졸업을 하고 나서 그 학생들이 활동을 하는 그런 무대가 그 소위 말하는 고급 레스토랑이나 고급적인 그런 인력을 양성하는 것인지 아니면 좀 더 대중을 포괄할 수 있는 그런 후진들을 양성하고 있는지 그런 시스템이 혹시 있는지 궁금합니다. 왜냐하면 그런 프렌치 레스토랑이나 아니면 제가 알고 있는 파티시에도 있는데 한국에서 일을 하지만 보통 뭐 롯데 호텔에서도 일을 했었고 아니면은 이후에 대중이 근접할 수 없는 그런 개인이 운영하는 그런 고급 레스토랑에서 지금 일을 하고 있어요. 그렇게 되면 저희 실질적으로 한국인이나 일반 서민들 같은 경우는 그런 음식을 맛볼 수 없고 그런 어쨌든 진출할 수 있는 함께 얼굴을 보고 그 요리사를 접할 수 있는 그런 기회가 많이 없거든요. 그래서 혹시 그런 어떤 프로그램이나 아니면 후진 양성의 포커스 무대는 어떤 건지 궁금합니다.
I think this is an excellent question. Perhaps I collect one more question before I ask Mr. Guengtro to respond. Any other question or comment? Okay, if not, Mr. Guengtro, just briefly.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Thank you for your question. In fact, globally, our schools being local are very different from one another. I would say if you go to Japan, it's very clubbish. Thailand is incredibly professional and very clubbish also. If you go to Canada, I would say it's very hands-on, professional, and they will be in really the nearly the mass market restaurants. So different answer per country. We have been, I think, very lucky as Le Cordon Bleu to be surfing on the wave of food interest, but also pastry interest. And very many of our students have been blossoming by creating their own pastry. So it's amazing to see. It was not really Cordon Bleu 20 years ago, but the importance of pastry, the importance of bakery, the importance of being a self-entrepreneur for very many students. Whereas the pattern I was speaking about Thailand is generally to train people who have been already successful, who already earn some restaurant, who want to understand how to control the chef when they don't want themselves to be the chef. So Cordon Bleu can cater on very, very many different aspects. Always, I would say, understanding the fundamentals. So you can be yourself or control a chef. Again, very strong development on the pastry side. And if you go to Paris, for instance, there is a shortage of labor, and we have more demands of our students, then there are places we have not enough students for all the places there is in all the key restaurants of Michelin star restaurants in Paris. So we don't have any problem putting our students in the key places. But I still would like to underline that the world of a chef is a very competitive world. It's not an easy job. So you can see on television, now today there's a kind of fashion because there's this kind of recognition of the chef. Master chef, top chefs, television shows, a little bit like the sports people. But like for the sports people, you have very little successes compared to the massive people who are trying to be one of the top sportsmen or one of the top chefs. So it is true, it's a wonderful life when you are there. It's management, it's leader, it's you have to understand marketing, public relations, financials, your skills. You are an artist. It's a very, very complete. It's not even a job. It's an artistic job, but it's also a very competitive world. And I would say in Korea, it will still take time that all those not only skills but artistic craftsmanship will be fully recognized and will be integrated in the salary. And we as educators must always think about the training, what the people learn, but also what will be their job, their careers. Will they be there in X years? When they have a loan, will they be able to repay their loans? All these matters are of importance on what we're trying to give. But you're right, it must be relevant to the industry. And as for the Colombo, we want our students to shine.
Thank you, Mr. Quengtro, for your wonderful answer. I think I, as someone who is not knowledgeable about this area of culinary arts, tourism, hospitality, etc., I think I personally learned quite a lot from this particular session. And if I take one message out of this session, is that we can excel in any area, and our work can be recognized if we work very hard in a creative way. Mm-hmm. If we are determined to excel, I think we can do so. Absolutely. By our efforts. But this requires a good education and good program. With that, I think we learned quite a lot from the Le Cordon Bleu case. Well, again, I think the education is key to everything, including the kind of issues, Mr. Quengtro, that you raised about demographic change, the sustainability of the planet, etc., etc. But we must recognize that this may be an area where we may find more opportunities in the coming years, tourism, because many people are on the move for various reasons. That's one thing. And people choose to live in different places from time to time, more often than ever before. And so many reasons are there for us to believe that this tourism, hospitality, culinary arts, chef, etc., may be an area that Koreans in particular, and young Koreans in particular, need to look into. And in France, as you mentioned, French chefs are recognized as artists. It's not people who are just preparing food for someone else, but it's artists. So recognition, I think, is very, very important. But for that, we all need to work together. And I would like to end this session by reiterating what Mr. Quengtro said, especially for young people in the room. Let's be ambitious. Let's dream an ambitious dream in areas which you like, which you want to pursue. And if I may add one more, let's learn other languages for you to be able to communicate people from different parts of the world. And this is my personal advice to all young people in the room. With that, I would like to end this very, very productive session. And thank you very much for your participation. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big hands to our
감사합니다.
speakers. Thank you. Thank you very much.